Hi everyone. Today I'm returning to an artist that I've heard once before, and that is Meatloaf. My first introduction to his music was with the song Bat Out of Hell. Now today I'm going to be listening to I'd Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That, from 1993. I'd Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That is a song written by Jim Steinman and performed by American rock singer Meatloaf, with additional vocals by Lorraine Crosby. The power ballad was a commercial success, reaching number 1 in 28 countries. The single was certified platinum in the United States and became Meatloaf's first and only number 1 and top 10 single on the Billboard Hot 100 and Cashbox Top 100. The song earned Meatloaf a Grammy Award for Best Rock Vocal Performance Solo. Let's listen. So, those, I'm just going to say those sounds at the beginning. Hold on. These sounds. Yeah. Right? Those sounds that you can't decide if it's some prehistoric beast or some souped up vehicle taking off or something else, right? It's a roar, it's a growl, it's something. And then the piano, dum bum 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 bum. But I'll tell you what caught my ear is then the piano bass comes in, the bass line in the piano, bum bum bum, and it sounds to me like those piano notes in the left hand, the bass notes, are basically playing the same sort of roar shape, which means the piano is taking on this voice, this personality. It's becoming part of it. Here. Becomes part of that. Scream something. And there's the piano. You finally get to hear it on its own.
And I would do anything for love. I'd run right into hell and back.
Ooh.
I would do anything for love. I'll never lie to you, and that's a fact. But I'll never forget the way you feel right now. Oh no, no way. And I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. No, I won't do that. Anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. No, I won't do that.
It's interesting the way the introduction there was so intense and powerful, and it, in the context of the lyrics, I feel like perhaps that introductory material there is meant to sort of, I don't know, provide an example of the places I would go for the sake of love, right? I mean, the first lines, I would do anything for love. I'd run right into hell and back. And so, funny, the first song I heard was Bat Out of Hell. Now I'm listening to this, and there's still this rather, might even say, demonic sound there. I'd run right into hell and back, and that is the place I would go for love, for you. Somehow I feel like we don't really know that as the piece begins. But then, once he starts singing, it becomes evident what that was all about at the beginning. At least, that's what I feel like right now. I'm barely started in the song. The other thing that strikes me is the incredible contrast between that crazy sonic experience and then when he comes in with his voice. He is so fragile. He is so vulnerable. He's so stretched to his limits, and beyond his capacity to express his feelings. That's what his voice is conveying to us. And so already we get this powerful experience of just complete devotion.
Never forget
Listen
the
down.
way you feel right now. Oh no, no way. And I
It's
would
like
do anything for love.
The smallest
But I won't
negative
do that.
response
No, I won't do
feels like it would destroy him.
anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. No, I won't do that.
It's a powerful sound again. That piano.
And some days it don't come easy, and some days it don't come hard. Some days it don't come at all, and these are the days that never end. And some that you're breathing fire, and some that you're caught in ice. Some that you're like nothing I've ever seen before will again. And maybe I'm crazy, oh it's crazy and it's true. I know you can save me, no one else can save me now but you. As long as the planets are turning, as long as the stars are burning, as long as your dreams are coming true, you better believe it, that I would do anything for love.
And the way it
And I'll be there till the
expands
final
here
act.
when he says that.
And I would do anything for love. And I'll take a vow and seal a pact. But I'll never forgive myself if we don't go all the way tonight. And I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. But I won't do that. No, I won't do that. I would do anything.
I can't say that this is a style of music that I find myself naturally tending towards. But in this case, with this song, feels so alive and so real and so all-consuming. It feels like, well, I'm going to use the term vulnerable again. I feel like it is absolute vulnerability, and it's such a perfect expression of the way one feels when they are just completely in love with another. And even the line, maybe I'm crazy. Oh, it's crazy and it's true. I know you can save me. I don't even feel like this is about, oh, I found somebody to save me, so please save me by loving me. I don't feel like that, but it's just the raw expression of, how do I express how crazily, insanely, madly, completely, totally, eternally in love with you I am. I would do anything for love. But the things that I won't do are the things that would be impossible to do in this state of being in love. I won't go halfway. I won't forget. I won't, all these things. It's complete, utter, passionate devotion.
For love, but I won't do that. No, I won't do that. I would do anything
Picking up
for
again.
love, anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do that. I would do anything for
There are
love,
things about this.
anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do that. I would do anything for love, anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do that.
The intensity. And it keeps coming and it keeps coming. It's not just intensity. It's
Some days I pray for silence.
You know, as I'm thinking of other pieces of music that I've listened to with the same sort of incredible intensity and vibrancy, it takes me back to Queen. And one of my more recent first listens to a Queen song was it's March of the Black Queen. This is similar in some ways, but it's not as dark. This is like the uncomplicated, not conflicted version of Queen. It's just raw, simple emotion, but the same vibrancy, the same intensity, the same all-embracing, complete throwing oneself into the life in front of them, the life that they have, their passions, their loves, their devotions, but even the tempo changes, the way the instrumental part works with the vocal part, the way they interact together. I think that there's actually quite a bit in common between something like Queen's March of the Black Queen and this Meatloaf, I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that. drums and the piano. And then that pulsing bass. Staying on that. It's like it just won't let go. It won't let go. It cannot let go. It cannot.
And some days I pray for silence, and some days I pray for soul. Some days I just pray to the God of sex and drums and rock and roll. And some nights I lose the feeling, and some nights I lose control. Some nights I just lose it all when I watch it dance and the thunder rolls. And maybe I'm lonely, that's all I'm qualified to be. That's just one and only promise I can keep.
Nice little use of one and only there. There's just one and only. And when I first heard that, of course, the context and everything, and as well as the common use of that phrase, the one and only, the one and only. You are my one and only. There's just one and only. And we expect the next word to be you, right? So it's a bit of a play on words there. There's just one and only. But then instead of one and only you, it's one and only promise I can keep. I like the way that phrase is put back to back in those two different applications. And it becomes an emphasizing of one and an emphasizing of the other meaning, both at once.
Pray to the God of sex and drums and rock and roll. And some nights I lose the feeling.
The big crashes back there.
And some nights I lose control. Some nights I just lose it all when I watch it dance and the thunder rolls. And
here it comes.
I'm lonely, that's all I'm qualified.
That's all I'm qualified to be.
That's just one and only
promise I can keep. That's the turning it around.
As long as the wheels are turning, as long as the fires are burning, as long as your prayers are coming true, you better believe it, that I will do anything for love. And you know it's true and that's a fact. I will do anything for love, and there'll never be no turning back.
It's like this great pendulum.
But I'll never do it better than I do it with you. So long, so long.
There's a weight to it.
I would do anything for
There's sort of
love.
epic quality. I think that the epic quality, I think that is one of the things that makes me relate it to some of Queen's music, because they also put on this grand, epic performance. Although most of the times I've heard Queen do that have been more in sort of fanciful, complicated, mystical, mythological contexts, right? Here, the thing that's different is that there is no fanciful dressing to this. There is no harking back to earlier times in the world's history. There is no conjuring ancient myths and legends. This is the legend itself. This is the epic thing itself. This is what the stuff of legends is made of.
So long, and I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do
This organ coming,
anything for love.
putting an organ in this. Again, it elevates it, it takes it towards the grand and epic. the stuff of legend.
I would do anything for love, anything you've
Picking up
been
tempo.
dreaming of, but I just won't do that. I would do anything for love, anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do that.
There's this sort of roar coming in from time to time.
Anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do that. I would do anything for love, anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do that.
Listen to this.
Anything for love, anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do that.
That guitar. Interesting line that's being sung. And here comes. Soaring lines again.
But I'll never stop dreaming of you every night of my life.
It's interesting the way the guitar starts coming in. So this becomes a sort of mantra, it develops into a sort of ostinato. I would do anything for love, anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do that. And it picks up pace and it becomes more rhythmic and it starts moving into the background, becoming kind of the thing over which everything else rides. Just like we make these declarations, especially early on in a relationship, we make these declarations, but then life continues and we don't always have time to make such declarations, but they become the fabric, they become the bedrock on which the rest of the life is built. And they are ever present if you have time to go digging and looking. But over that soars this line, this melodic line of the guitar singing dum ba dum and going on through its long lines, and the music develops and carries on, and this remains constant behind it all. The constancy is there, even if it's not said so audibly, so at so much leisure, because life picks up and life goes on, and the thing that becomes the reality is not the words, but the life itself. And you hear that shifting in the music, and it becomes the life itself here that is the embodiment of that declaration, rather than just the passionate statement of one's devotion at the beginning of the relationship.
But I just won't do that. I would do anything.
You hear it? It's just part of the background. And organ comes in. Here's the guitar. Back to the top. And we start hearing the guitar and focusing on... And this becomes anything. It becomes the rhythm of life. It becomes the bedrock on which all the rest of this is built. It's what allows it to soar and sing and carry on and be free. With those peaks there.
But I'll never stop dreaming of you every night of my life. No way, I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. But I won't do that. No, I won't do that.
Will you raise me up? Will you help me down? Will you get me right out of this godforsaken town? Will you make it all a little less cold?
I can do that. Oh, I can do
Will you
that.
hold me sacred? Will you hold me tight? Can you colorize my life? I'm so sick of black and you make it all a little less old?
I can do that. Oh, no, I can do
You
that.
make some magic with your own two hands. Can you build an emerald city with these grains of sand? Can you give me something I can take home?
I can do that. Oh, no, I can do
You
that.
cater to every fantasy I got. Will you hose me down with holy water if I get too hot? Will you take me places I've never known?
I can do that. Oh, no, I can do that.
After a while, you forget everything. There's a brief
Okay, so here, as we now hear the two voices, let's see, this is Lorraine Crosby singing the girls' part of the story. Will you raise me up? Will you help me down? Will you get me right out of this godforsaken town? Will you make it all a little less cold? He answers, I can do that. Will you hold me sacred? Will you hold me tight? Can you colorize my life? I'm so sick of black and white. Can you make it all a little less old? I started to feel like, did this just become a little less perfect with these lines? Because it was so focused on his complete devotion and commitment. It was focused on his experience. And now to bring in her questions and these kinds of questions, to me, it almost feels like, are we starting to think a bit smaller? Are we is the music losing its strength with these kinds of questions? Because, let's face it, we all know that if someone is looking to have their life colorized by somebody else, yeah, maybe they're not ready for this. But as I'm listening and progressing through these lines, okay, it's changing a bit. The demands are getting bigger. Will you make me some magic with your own two hands? Can you build an emerald city with these grains of sand? Can you give me something I can take home? I can do that. Okay, she raises the stakes. Will you cater to every fantasy I've got? Will you hose me down with holy water if I get too hot? Will you take me to places I'll never know? And he answers, I can do that. So, if I lay aside my very 21st century culture and worldview, and set aside my discomfort with perhaps the portrayal of the two different roles in this relationship, and the expectations, and which is all a bit dated, I think. And as I said, I started to feel, does that make it less perfect? Because I felt like it was so well done up until then. But if I think of it in terms of less specifically about the precise questions she's asking, and more about she's wanting to know if all of this that he says is just a bunch of words, or is this truly how it's going to be? And so she starts asking small questions, and then asking bigger questions, a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. Funny thing, it reminds me of the biblical story of Abraham, when the two messengers come to him and say, we are going to destroy this city. And he says, well, will you preserve it if there are X many righteous people found in it, 20 or something like that? And they say, okay, if we can find 20, yes. And then he increases the request a bit more by saying, well, will you preserve it if there are only a smaller number, 10 or something like that? And they say, okay, we'll save it if it's that much. And so then he increases the demands again. Will you preserve it if there are only 5? And it feels like it's this kind of dynamic here where she's saying, okay, will you do this for me? If you're so devoted, will you be able to do this for me? And he says, I can do that. And so she increases the demands. Will you do this for me? And he says, I can do that. And she says, well, then, if what you really say is true, will you do this for me? Is this truly the measure of your devotion? Where are the limits? Because it sounds like she expects there to be some limits. Where are your limits? That's what it sounds like if I set aside the datedness of the exact questions and look at it more in the shape of the composition. This is what's happening here.
Holy water, if I get too hot, will you take me places I've never known? I can do that.
I can do that. She's not convinced.
Brief interlude and a midsummer night's
She
swing.
thinks this
And
is
you
all
see
just a
that
bunch
it's
of
time to move on. I won't
fleeting
do
passion
that.
on your part. And he says, I won't do that.
I know the territory.
Girlfriend, I know.
Around.
I've been around.
All turn
I've
to
seen it
dust,
happen.
and we'll all fall down. Sooner or later, you'll be screwing around. I won't do
He says,
that.
I won't. Listen to the piano slow.
No, I won't do that. Anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. I would do anything for love. But I won't do that. No, I won't do that.
It's so much of what I love in music. The passion, the drama, the openness, the vulnerability, the expression of human experience, the finding oneself in somebody else's work. And this is one of those perfect songs in that it manages to get all of this drama and epic quality without having to pull on legends of the past. It manages to make this the stuff of legends without failure, without conflict, without the things that show up in real life so often, the disappointment, the tragedies. It's the perfect world. It's the perfect world of perfect love, utter devotion. And it's tested at the end. She tests it and she says, where are the limits? There have to be some limits because every person I've met has it. They fail at some point. And the higher she places the stakes, the higher he rises. Until finally at the end, it's his voice again. Anything for love, and I mean it. I would do anything for love, but I will not betray the love. And so often I talk about, and I think about this a lot, how it is in music. It's such a great representation of life. When we have dissonance, when we have clash, when we have tension, that's what makes the sweetness feel so much sweeter. It seems to be the way of the world, the way of life. So often when we go through hardship and tragedy, the sweet experience becomes all the better. But that's why I say this is a perfect song, because it manages to avoid the hardship, avoid the tragedy, avoid the heartbreak. And it's all perfect. And yet we feel the power and the force of it. Really a great song. Meatloaf. I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that. What an experience to listen to it. And one that I'm sure I will listen to many more times. I enjoyed it immensely. I'll see you soon.